All right, we're looking at Martinsville in the Cup Series in this one here. Looking like we're going to get rain on Friday. We're probably going to lose Truck Series practice and Xfinity Series practice and qualifying and such for those two individual series. But for the Cup Series, it's looking like we're going to be fine on Saturday. Just depends on what the schedule is. But the fact that the Cup Series don't practice until late in the afternoon, pretty much in the evening or late afternoon on Saturday, we shouldn't have any issues with them getting practice in, getting qualifying in, so we should be good to go on the Sunday race at 1 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm looking forward to Martinsville. As I keep mentioning this year, just because it's seemed to work for me, is just kind of jamming in more guys up front versus really chasing place differential. You can argue what happened at Richmond and stuff, but for the most part, I just want to keep targeting guys who are going to be starting up front and teams that I know are going to be quick. And for the most part, not really relying on place differential a ton. Let me go back and look at last year's approach, just due to the fact that I haven't looked at it, and I totally need to check it out. So let me look at my sheets real fast. This is for old sheets. It's last year. Let me find this spring Martinsville race. Kansas to Michigan. Is this Martinsville? Let's see. That's Martinsville 2, so I need probably Cup at... The reason I'm searching for this is because I don't remember what that optimal lineup looked like last year. Actually, let me change that. So, where are we at here? The 22 spring race had William Byron, Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon, Chastain, Jones, and Ty Dillon starting 5th, 1st, 23rd, 27th, 24th, and 34th. What did I play here? Here, let me go ahead and... So this one also, I kind of missed that Google changed it to where it doesn't have when it was last edited. Let's see, when was this last edited? October. Actually, that is Martinsville 2, Martinsville 1. Yeah, last updated in April of last year. I know one of these Byron lines was optimal, and I think it was actually it can't, because I have Cindric in 2 of these. It's got to be. Actually, I went tight end on 3 of my William Byron lines. Chase Elliott in all of them. Yes, I mean, look, we use this just because it's easy access. So, I remember the reason I'm looking here, Austin Dillon, Chastain, Jones, Dillon. Austin Dillon, Chastain, Jones, Dillon. Austin Dillon, Chastain, second one. Okay, let me just change this. Austin Dillon. So we might be looking at this one here. So I had Austin Cindric. I think it's this last one. The reason I'm bringing this up is what I remembered was this is the optimal for the spring race, and I'm pretty sure I didn't play it. I just had the highest scoring line that was played. No, sorry, we're really, I guess I should have done this before. What the hell, who did I approach? Eric Jones. So did I have Jones over? Doesn't matter, whatever, I'll look at this later. I'm killing time. Anyway, I'm looking back at just the build that I had, just to try and jolt or remember anything from the first race at the moment. Let me get that off the screen. So when we take a look at Martinsville, and when I mentioned I like targeting more people up front, Martinsville is a race that, and if you look back at how I built those lines and how I build lines for Martinsville in general, it's typically just playing a ton of guys up front, trying to nail a lap leader. I think we were in a situation where we had a lot of place differential in the spring race last year. Like we had Chastain in the back, we had Jones in the back, we had Denny Hamlin in the back, we had Reddick, Bubba Wallace. Okay, that's why. That's why. And we also had Eric Almirola, Cole Custer, Busher starting 2nd, 3rd, and 4th respectively. Those guys aren't going to get laps led. Okay, so now that makes more sense in context. Anyway, when I see Martinsville, And that's how the spring race played out. Check out the fall race. Where do these guys start? 1st, 11th, 20th, 24th, 19th, 36. So we had Cody Ware be optimal in the fall race. We had Ty Dillon be optimal in the spring race last year, in the 2 races last year. When we look back at the fall race in 2021, it was Chase Elliott, Eric Almirola, Alex Bowman, Jones, Kyle Buescher starting 2nd, 13th, 23rd, 28th, 7th, and 15th. Spring race in 2021, Hamlin, Blaney, Bell, Byron, Wallace, James Davidson, 2nd, 4th, 23rd, 3rd, 25th, 37th. When we look at the fall race in 2020, we have Elliott, Blaney, Eric Almirola, Matt Kenseth, Ty Dillon, Matt DiBenedetto, starting 8th, 10th, 20th, 31st, 25th, and 12th. And then in the spring race, we have Logano, Truex, Blaney, Wallace, DiBenedetto, and McDowell starting 3rd, 5th, 1st, 23rd, 19th, and 29th. So just in these, we have 1, 2... Actually, we have James at 5,000 in the spring race in 21. I'm trying to pick close to 5,000 or below. Ty Dillon in the spring race last year is 55. And then we have Todd Gilliland and Cody Ware in the fall race at 4,800 and 4,700 being optimal. And that's due to the fact that it was Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin at 11.7 and 11.4. Anyway, the reason why I'm going over this is because typically Richmond, Martinsville, the tracks that have a ton of race at Bristol as well, these are the places where the guys in the back are very much alive. When we look at this weekend's race, since Cody Ware isn't in the car, let me go ahead and take a look at what the pricing is for these lovely drivers back here in the back of the field. We got, okay, so they elevated men's salary. However, like men's salary, sure, it used to be $4,500 just because it's $4,800 right now with Anthony Alfredo. Like, yeah, it's still men's salary. But Alfredo's $4,800, JJ Yaley's $4,900. Really interesting that they don't have somebody in the 11K range. Typically, we have somebody in the 11K range, which I think that makes more sense of why the bottom of our salary this week doesn't have a guy that's closer to $4,500, because in every single race that we've had at Martinsville in the past, we have had people in the 11K range. We had 1, 2, 3 in the fall race last year. In the spring race, we had 2. In the fall race 21, we had 3. In the spring race in 21, we have 3. Okay, so the reason I'm bringing this up is pricing's a lot softer at this Martinsville race than it has been in the past. I understand that the bottom of the salary cap, we've lost, 45, 46, 47. But we have $4,800 there. We have a lot of soft price in this field. And we have a lot of people that we just aren't going to play that I don't see being very viable. Like, for example, Zane Smith, $5,800 in the Rick Ware car. Probably not going to be viable because we both need the guy in the back or the min-salary guy to start in the back. He's $5,800. I just don't see him working out. We have very much Corey LaJoie, Dylan, Gregson, Yaley, and Alfredo. I would honestly put money on one of those guys being optimal in this race, due to the fact that it's very easy to stack the front contenders. And the reason why we're doing that is because we have we have Hendrick Motorsports and we have Joe Gibbs Racing as the 2 contenders to lead in this race. I'm still going to lean more on Hendrick. I think the field is finally going to come across and be like, man, maybe we should be playing Byron, maybe we should be playing Larson. But for the most part, I'm just going to focus on that, and the pricing reflects that, okay? We have William Byron at 10.8. We have Larson at 10.6. We have Bell at 10.5. Let me move this over here so I'm staring at the camera. But look, it's very easy to play Larson and Byron together. And when we look at Martinsville with the 500 laps, 400 laps, 500, 400, got to check. Doesn't matter. A lot of laps. When we look at these 2 drivers, and we look at anybody, like you can replace Bell with Larson, Bell with Byron, whatever the case you want to do. As long as you nail the lap leaders, doesn't matter what other guys do. You can have people in your lineup that don't hit value. As I said, I did not play the optimal lineup in the spring race at Martinsville last year. I just had the highest scoring line. You don't need the highest scoring, or you don't need the optimal line. You just need a lineup that has nearly every lap leader. Okay, and if this goes to a 2 lap leader type of race, you're going to need those 2. If it goes to a 3, I typically build for 3. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because I fully believe that Larson and Byron, one of those guys are going to lead laps in this race. I just think that's how it's going to be. Could easily go back to Bowman. Could easily go to like a Suarez, a Harvick, or any of the JGR guys. But the fact that pricing is so soft here, boys, ladies, everybody here, boys with a Y, boys with an I, let's just play as many freaking guys in the front as possible. For example, I know we got some rumblings with Kyle Busch. We have some rumblings that, I don't trust him. He was kind of slow at Richmond. I kind of trust him. I want to go there. Like, let's just say, for example, you're using Kyle Busch. And realistically speaking, very easy to get 3 people over 9K in your lineup. Let me just see real fast. It is, so you have to, we're going to be capped at the max of probably 3 drivers in the 9K range or above. And that's assuming you go 2 10K guys. The reason being is this is very much a lineup, mathematical equation this weekend. It's not necessarily like, regardless of who we're going with in 10K range and stuff, we're using 10K guys this week. We're most likely using 2 of them, probably using a 9K guy, or you could be doing 2 9K guys, 10K guys, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. The names are irrelevant at that point. So for just this example, I'm using Byron and Larson because they're the 2 most expensive guys. I think that'll cover or help us cover a lot of bases. I'll go ahead and put Kyle Busch in here. So for the remainder of this video and for these examples and stuff, I'm using Byron, Larson, and Busch just to show you what we're at salary-wise and stuff. So you're going with 3 guys above 9K in this, and the reason why you would do this is you believe that most likely if you're playing 10K guys, you're assuming that they're going to be the lap leader. You're seeing things in practice. You believe that they got good pit stalls. You liked how they performed at Richmond, whatever the case may be. You're using those guys. You're most likely using a 9K guy who is going to probably start in the top 10 or offer some slight place differential that you believe he's still going to compete for the win here. I would not personally chase place differential just purely based on that. Unlike trucks, unlike Xfinity, where my cap for this weekend is I need to at least see 10 place differential points as possible. Here, I'm trying to get lap leaders. And so, sure, I might be playing somebody who starts 13th, but that's because they missed the final, they missed the final round at qualifying. They have to start at the top 10. I believe that they have a top 5 car, so on and so forth. Not because of the place differential that they're giving me starting 13th. I just believe they're going to be like a top 4 car or whatever the case may be. Once we get past that, I'm going to go down, and you saw how I built lines in the spring. Let me check the fall race real fast. Actually, here, let me just bring this up. So this is the spring race. Obviously, you can see the ownership percentages, but you can see I'm using cheap guys. I guarantee I did it in the same in here, which we went Cody Ware. We did a lot of Ty Dillon. And the reason being, and the reason why I'm saying this stuff here is I will most likely, as I said, I believe that one of Gregson, Ty Dillon, LaJoie, Yaley, and Alfredo are optimal. At the moment, could be any 5 of those guys. Qualifying will absolutely shrink that down to 3. But I will be using, unless they're absolutely just moved out of a range that I don't see them being viable in, I will absolutely be using one of those 5 guys in every single line I run this weekend. So I'm going to use LaJoie for this example because he's had fantastic speed. It's running pretty decently. I'm very surprised and happy with how they're running. Unfortunately, Ty Dillon hasn't ran the same issue, but I'll just use LaJoie for this example. So continuing on with Byron, Larson, Kyle Busch, and LaJoie, and the reason yet again why I'm using this is due to the fact that I'm looking at the salary number, not necessarily the driver. We're at 10.8, 10.6, 9.7, 5,000. Leaves you $6,900 to play whoever else you want. You're very easily able to get to very strong 6K guys or very strong 7K plays. Realistically, so the player pool at this point, in my opinion, is pretty spread out in this race. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying that is, and the reason why it's so difficult to enter this race in with picks and, favorite DFS drivers outside of the lap leader is because literally everybody's in play. Honestly, if I go down the entire field, I can make arguments for everybody, and I can make both positive and negative. I will probably not be playing Logano and Blaney, but like Chase Elliott, 9-3 cheapest, we're going to see him in a long time. This is a situation where you might want to be ahead of the curve on Chase Elliott. The guy is, sure, he might be a bit lame, but he is going to be in the car. Hendrick is going to have good equipment under him. Ross Chastain at $8,800, okay? I understand the guy's going to fly through a building like a 747 like he did in the fall, but he's $8,800. Cheap, easy to use. Harvick, 84. Bowman, 82. Has a good chance of starting the top 5. Suarez has great speed. Hello, everybody. If you watched Richmond, you need to play Daniel Suarez. The guy is mispriced, underpriced, beyond belief. Can't believe it. He should be Bowman, Suarez, Harvick, Chastain. Absolute fantastic plays. Probably my favorite from these ranges are the Trackhouse boys. But those guys are very much in play. 7K range, probably going to determine or probably going to be determined more by place differential upside than anything else. But 7K range is very much in play. 6K, yet again, very much in play. We're seeing that Jones is taking a bit of a step back with the, what a failure that has been for Jimmy Johnson. Everything that man touches it just turns into mush. 7-time, oh man, geez Louise, you missed out on starting a race team with Junior. What are you doing, Jimmy? You deserve nothing but failure. What are you talking about? But colleague, 66, 64. We're seeing that price range is being used a lot in the optimal. Michael McDowell, Jesus walking on water. At this point, I'm kind of just flipping on him, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play McDowell every single week. But McDowell's interesting at that point. We're back down the 5K range, and so everybody is very much in play, in my opinion, entering this weekend. Qualifying absolutely will help or remove certain people from the player pool. But for the most part, the build this weekend is three very expensive guys, in my argument, or in my opinion, 2 10K guys. Either a 9 or 2 8Ks playing somebody below 5,300. So that's 5 drivers there, and then just filling out the rest of your lineup. I really like this race. I really like the approach to just try and also secondly, it's really hard to pass. Okay, I understand. Yes, people were moving each other out of the way in the fall race last year, but this package is horrible. We can all agree on that. This package is terrible. You can't pass at all. Okay, yeah, Richmond. People passed. Due to pit strategy. And tires are still going to be huge. I understand it's not as abrasive as Richmond, not as abrasive as other tracks, but we saw tires are going to be huge. So everybody's going to be pitting each and every time. Pit road is going to probably determine the most amount of passes for the lead, but because pit road is so slow, unless you have a catastrophic failure, you're not dropping from 2nd to probably like 14th. You're probably going to drop from 2nd to like 6th if you have a bad pit stop. On the contrary, if you have a good pit stop, you might go from 7th to 5th. 7th to 4th, but you're not going from like 8th to the lead. You're not going from outside the top 15 to inside the top 5 on pit lane this weekend. You're just not going to be able to pass, okay? So, yet again, that leads me to looking at a lot of the guys starting inside the top 5. Some of the people starting from 11th to 15th because they missed out on the final qualifying group or run or whatever, the final round of qualifying. And then in terms of cheap guys, in terms of what you do with your 5K range, it's very much going to be head-to-head between the guy who starts last and the value play that's probably going to start around 19th. Can the guy in 19th stay there the whole race and he doesn't lose enough positions for the guy starting last to gain like 4 or 5 positions and beat him? That's really what it comes down to this weekend. Yet again, in terms of lap leaders that I want to target, in terms of fast cars I want to target, it's Hendrick, it's Joe Gibbs, it's Trackhouse, and then Chevy specifically. I mean, that's 6 Chevys right there. That's 4 Toyotas. That's 3 taking out Ty Gibbs. That's 9 drivers, okay? Those are your 9 drivers that you want to target. There's a good chance that 7 of those 9 drivers are inside the top 10 all day. And there's a good chance your top 5 is defined just by those 2 organizations, those 3 organizations, okay? So it's it's kind of where I'm at there. I will defer to practice speed, qualifying speed, and pit selections for my projections on Sunday, but that's really the way I look at this race in Martinsville, and that's kind of where we're at. I want to bring back Cruise Control next weekend. That's kind of just the show that I just kind of rant on stuff, not necessarily related to DFS. It can be, but just if you want to hear me whine, bitch, and moan about stuff, feel free to drop in the comments. I have some ideas that I want to talk about. First and foremost, the Nelson Air Racing. Wow, that was hold on, I'm having a brain fart right now. I was thinking of fucking New Vegas, the Reno Air Races. Kind of want to talk about those, and just a lot of other things on my mind. If you guys want to hear about that, feel free to or let me know. Feel free to drop ideas, and we can just have some fun. And I'll probably record that Monday or so. But outside of that, I'll see you guys in live shows Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And best of luck. I'll see you guys then.